just going to go through kind of the basics for parent conferences. And then obviously, if you have any questions or want any specific help with anything, just let me know as we're going through. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just how to be prepared and all of like the things that you might not be thinking of, going through some, ideas, things to have ready, setting the scene. So just like your classroom, having that ready for parent conferences, how to present, and some of those what if situations. So how to be prepared. So some things to think about. So scheduling is obviously, you guys said you already kind of have that set up. You already have most of your parents signed up. So one thing is just sending home some reminder notes and emails. That will help you, because if you have a parent forget or miss, then they're going to want to reschedule, and they might want to reschedule on days where maybe you don't have necessarily time available or you didn't plan for that. So just sending them reminders physically and emails. So you already said, your school site and grade level process. And then if you do need any translators, which neither one of you will, so that's not an issue there. Hold on. Angie is coming in. Hi, Angie. Angie, can you hear us?
Okay, finally. Sorry.
Okay, no, it's okay.
I was like, I don't know what's wrong.
Okay, so we're just getting started. So the first thing we went over was just kind of how to be prepared for conferences. So scheduling is that first piece. And I know that we, as you guys are all at the same school site, so you're all using Sign Up Genius. So your grade level process, your school site process, and then just sending home those reminder notes and emails.
Right.
So that if, a parent forgets, then they have to reschedule, and that may mess up your schedule. So that will help. And then do you know, Angie, if you'll need any translators or anything like that?
No, I'm good.
Okay, perfect. So that's one thing to think about if you did. And then students. And what that means is thinking about whether or not you want the students present at the conference, or if you just kind of want to leave it up to the parents if they want them there. So a lot of parents will bring students to the school site, and sometimes they'll say, oh, go outside and play, or sometimes they want them to sit down. So just kind of having that in mind if you're okay with them being there, or if you actually want them there. If you do, I would say just let the parents know ahead of time, that you would like their student to be there. And if you don't, same, I would let them know that you prefer them not to be actually sitting at the conference with you. So that's up to your preference. And then having these things ready. So obviously your grades will be done by that time. So having those printed out, having a hard copy for your parents would be nice. Any testing data that you plan on including in your conference. So FastBridge, if you did iReady, or if you did any like grade level assessments as a team that you plan on using, having those things ready for each student. Sample work. So I like to have a sample of the most recent math assessment, reading assessment, and writing piece. It doesn't necessarily have to be a writing assessment, but a writing piece. I also like to include a student and kind of blocking out their name, but a student that is at grade level in each of those things. So an at grade level test that shows like the students that these are the standards and they're hitting that just in case you have a parent that's like, well, I feel like this is at level, and you can kind of show them this is actually one that is at level. So we want to work up to that. So having that example there, and you might not always need it, but just in case. So you have some factual stuff to back up what you're saying. So most recent math test, reading test, if you're doing a fluency test, and writing sample. Standards, I always like to have the standards there with me just in case the parents did ask any questions about anything. I could reference that to them. I also made extra copies just in case to give the parents a copy of the standards so that they know what the grade level standards are and what their students are working towards. And reminding the parents, though, if you do talk about standards and you do give them that, that the standards are for the end of the grade level, right? They want to be able to meet that standard by the end of your grade level. So any packets or presentations that you plan on doing, I know some teachers are doing student-led conferences, which just means that their students are creating a presentation on the computer and they're kind of leading it, and the teacher is there to, you know, give input and give specific things. So depending on what you're doing, just having that ready. Okay, we have one more person joining us. Hi, Angelica.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yay.
Okay, so we just got started. We went through scheduling. If you want to just go through that, and then some, right now we're on some things that you want to make sure that you have ready. And then if you have any questions at the end, we'll kind of stay in and talk about that.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So anything that you want to have at your conference, just make sure that it's there, right? And it's ready. I would do work folders for each student, and things that I had a folder that if things for each student that I would keep, and then a folder for the parents. So anything that I was planning on sending home, I would also give the parents just a manila folder for them to take those things home. So they're not just kind of carrying papers if you plan to send anything home. And then this is like the biggest thing for me, I feel like, is giving the parents ideas for how to help at home. Because if you're going to tell parents that their student is struggling with A, B, and C, give them something to support them with that. So don't just tell them there's a problem, give them a supporting idea. Will they do it? I don't know. Will it help? We don't know exactly, but give them something that they can do, so they're not just hearing problems, they're having solutions with those problems that they can use. So that's super important. I would give a sheet to every parent of general things that their child could do at home that would support in the classroom, but then specific students that I knew had specific needs, I would have those separate for that specific student. So things just to think about, to have available, having just a notepad and pen in case you have parent concerns, just to write those down, you know, so that you can follow up. That's, you know, so you're not kind of scrambling to look for a pen or a notepad or anything like that, just having that there with you. Another one is a timer, just because I know that we have, you know, those 15-minute slots, and some days are back to back to back to back. And sometimes you or the parents can get carried away in your conversations or going on and on. So that will help you and the parents know, okay, we have 15 minutes or we're going to get through all this stuff. And if it does go over and you do have a parent, then that's a good time to, you know, let them know that you can schedule another meeting with them if they want to, or you can follow up through email. But just having that visual timer does help with time management. Any questions on anything so far?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so some ideas. Oh, I gotta make sure I look at, okay. So these are just some general ideas to have, like a self-evaluation. This is one example. This is a younger example. So even third grade, it might be too young for third grade, or it could work. But just having a self-evaluation is good for the students to do. What I would do is have the students do a self-evaluation, and I would do the exact same evaluation on each student myself. And I would compare it at the conference with the parents, and just, you know, let them know that this is how they might think they're doing. This is what I'm seeing in the classroom. You know, and if there's discrepancy, we can talk about those with the parents. There's a ton of self-evaluations out there. I have some, if you guys would like me to send you, but there's a ton of free ones on Teachers Pay Teachers. You can make up your own couple questions specific to your classroom. And some things, you know, that your class is working on, like you can reference your social contract, you know, different things that you do in the classroom, like your meetings or your homework planners, or anything that you know, specific to your classroom, would be good to evaluate, do a self-evaluation on too. So a parent-teacher conference information sheet. This is a good way to kind of pace your conference and go through the sheet, just going through each one of behaviors. Again, this is just an example. There's a ton of them out there, but it's a good way for pacing. So having those assessment scores on there, and this is something good to keep all year and tell the parents that you'll send it home at the end of the year, because it does have, several assessment scores. You can input their grades, you can have strengths and goals or growths. So something like this is just a really good way to keep your conference at a good pace. And so you're not having those, okay, now what, right? You kind of have everything right there. And then making a copy for the parent to take home as well. I like to give it to them right away so that they can make notes if they want to. I like to have extra pens for them. So that if they want to take notes, they can take some notes. This is just that exact same thing, just kind of filled out with examples. So rating the student, giving little notes about them, strengths and goals. So just some examples. And then this is also just some notes. While you're at the conference, if you and the parent want to take notes as you're going, asking the parents, some strengths that they see from their child at home is always something good to ask as well, because you get a different version of the kid sometimes at home. So you might see some different strengths there or some different needs. And then it's a good way for you to jot down some things that they want to focus on at home, or some strategies that you want to use at school. So that's also an option, is taking notes during the meeting. Or you can honestly do it on your computer and just send it their way, when you're done. So if it's something that you want to do, is taking notes during the meeting is also a good tool. But if you're giving them copies of everything, then it's not necessarily needed. Okay, so setting the scene, this is pretty, self-explanatory, but having, a good classroom ambience, so a clean classroom, the kids cleaning their desks before conferences, and, just kind of making sure things are picked up and tidy. Have some student work up on the walls, so that the parents can see some of the things that the kids are doing. The kids like to, show them some stuff in the room. I mean, that's not what it's about, but that's what ends up happening, is they just kind of look around and, they get a feel for what's going on. Obviously having that place, a designated place for you guys to sit. So your big, round kidney tables are perfect. Just having everything set up there is usually perfect. And then professional dress, making sure that you're looking nice and professional. How to present during a conference. So professional demeanor, confident, smiling, and organized, greeting the families with a smile. So the parents are very nervous too. They don't know what they're going to hear, or, how their kid is doing. So I always like to start by saying something positive, even if it is a student that struggles a lot. I try to find, something positive to start the conversation with, and not just kind of bombard them with they need this, they need to work on this, they don't do this, just trying to, have a little bit of small talk before we get into that nitty-gritty stuff about the student. So just trying to start it in a positive way. And then facts are your friend. So anything that you do share with the